Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me this evening on this live webinar on how to have almost no PMS symptoms. That's right. It's completely possible. I know a lot of women have suffered their entire life and are suffering every month and think it's normal to suffer and have all these symptoms, but it's not. This is a sign of imbalance. And it could be also be signs of inflammation. It could be signs of blockage. It could be signs of depletion. There's many different types of, let's just say, symptoms prior to menstruation. That's why women are easy to read and easy to understand, because you can just ask a woman about her symptoms prior to menstruation, and this will reveal a wide range of information. For example, if a woman is depleted, underweight, thin, depleted, dry, she will have, you know, um, PMS symptoms such as irregular periods, like it disappears for a few days, then comes back maybe 28 days, 29 days, 30 days, 32 days, and then suddenly 26. So a depleted or vata type of woman will have irregular menstruation, and the flow will be light, and she'll have other vata like symptoms like anxiety, nervousness, heart palpitations, of course, bloating, a worse sleep, kind of confusion, forgetfulness, and cramping and lower back pain. Those are all the symptoms of a vata imbalance in the female reproductive system, very evident prior to menstruation. But it reveals a lot about the woman. For example, if I didn't know anything about the woman and people told me just her menstruation symptoms, and they were many of those that I just mentioned there, like anxiety, nervousness, irregular, light flow, lower back pain, abdominal cramping, I would know right away she's vata. And these are signs of depletion, dry. Like same type of woman will also have, symptoms like vaginal dryness and, premature orgasm and such. And these are all vata imbalances. Now, um, there's also pitta imbalances, which have a lot to do with inflammation and heat. And this will have heavier flow, more regular though, and mood swings, more related to irritability, increased appetite, headaches, particularly around the frontal area, rashes, hives, and most important for pitta type of premenstruation symptoms, there will be heat, and irritability. Those are pitta one. Now, if you're kapha type of a woman, heavy, slow, and easy to gain weight and full figured, we could say the menstruation flow tends to be heavy. Now, of course, if a woman's having endometriosis, an inflammatory uterine condition, or fibroids, this also can create heavy menstrual bleeding. But for a kapha woman, she generally will have uh, heavy bleeding compared to a vata and pitta woman. She'll have weight gain. She'll have a lot more breast swelling, water retention, swelling anywhere in the body, craving for sweets, fatigues, and feelings more of depression. So the kapha woman can lean more towards depression. The vata woman leans more towards anxiety, and the pitta woman leads more towards irritability. Not to say that some women can't have every one of those categories, and that would mean they have a vata, pitta, and kapha in balance in their reproductive system. So this is the Ayurveda quick overview of the Ayurveda perspective for diagnosing the type of imbalance, whether it's vata, pitta, kapha, in a woman. And so, once the diagnosis has been done, really you need this diagnosis because you need to know, you need to balance the underlying dosha that's involved, particularly if it's very dominant vata, very dominant kapha, very dominant pitta. Then the underlying dosha must be balanced too with the diet and sometimes additional herbs, besides the treatments that we're going to talk about today, which are, herbal by nature. And we can look here at some of these testimonials and under PMS testimonials. Uh, and there's many herbal remedies. All healthcare systems have remedies for PMS, because, of course, it's not a disease. It's a somewhat of a hormonal imbalance in women, and it's been around since the beginning of time. So women have had plenty of time to come up with natural treatments. So, South America and Mexico, I could go to any night market in Mexico and I can find herbs for PMS. You know, uh, Indians, of course, have treatments. The Chinese have treatments. All cultures, even the most indigenous, isolated tribes in the middle of Borneo, have herbs for PMS. So there's really no excuse for not taking these prior to menstruation and helping to have a more healthy monthly rhythm and be and have it your menstruation cycle preceded by minimal symptoms and have it more regular. That's the goal. So you can see here some of the testimonials. I have this woman here. She was on birth control at an early age, and then when she got off of it, her cycle never came back. Um, and she went to many gynecologists and even had pellet insertions for hormone replacement. None of it worked. She took herbs for a few months, and her cycle came back, and she had a normal cycle with no PMS symptoms. See, no, not few, none, no PMS symptoms. There's her full name. She's from Houston, Texas. She's got a few more details there, but she's very enthusiastic about telling other women the power of these herbal remedies. And and really, we are talking to a large degree about hormonal imbalance, and many things can affect a woman's hormonal imbalance. So all the estrogen we have in the foods, in the chicken and the beef and plastics. So this is greatly affecting hormonal issues in modern times. So they're more severe than they were in the past. So of course, just like if you want to avoid cancer, you should avoid chemicals, and if you want to avoid hormonal imbalances, you got to avoid these phytoestrogens and hormonal, uh, you know, meat with hormones. That's why you want to buy chicken that's hormone free, beef that's hormone free, and stay away from plastic water bottles and even too much, substances like soy. It's a whole nother subject, but you have to be preventive. But you can see this woman here. She was trying to lose weight for a long time, but she couldn't move. I determined her weight gain was due to hormonal imbalance. And then when I balanced her hormones, she lost 12 pounds. There's a woman. It's endometriosis. I get a lot of cases of endometriosis and fibroids, kind of another subject. Here's a woman. I have huge difference in my mood and cramps. My period is much lighter. So after 3 weeks, my PMS pain was almost gone. Uh, Somebody liked the PMS tea, which I'm going to introduce the herbs in. Within 2 weeks, my skin cleared. We get a lot of young women, particularly with acne, and they try all types of creams and go to dermatologists, but I diagnosed that it was hormonal. And then I don't have to treat the skin. I just treat the hormonal imbalance, and their skin clears up. So a point here is there's a lot of symptoms that can come from a hormonal imbalance. Here's a woman here in Tennessee saying that she had no PMS symptoms until the day before. I don't know all the herbs these people are taking, but you get the point that these these herbs do work. So today we're going to talk about what can be done to balance um, your hormones and reduce these symptoms down. So there's really two subjects here: balancing hormones and addressing symptoms. When it comes to balancing the hormones, um, we have there's many products, but you really have to be able to ask the questions to diagnose whether we have a estrogen imbalance, progesterone imbalance, or estrogen dominance, or even some testosterone. Now that's a whole nother subject, questioning and observing a woman to determine these imbalances. But once this has been determined, then you can pick the herbal remedies to help you to balance um, your hormones accordingly. Because the real secret here is the diagnosis. This is why most people are not successful on their own, just picking herbs off the shelf because they're not diagnosing themselves. The same problem we see for digestive issues and other issues and weight loss. People just start doing crazy weight loss things, but they don't even know why they're gaining weight. And same with, these premenstruation symptoms. They don't know why. Why you come to an herbalist. So we're going to have to speak in more and hormonal imbalance. If we just start with the hormonal imbalance, this is one of my favorite formulas here. It's an Ayurvedic formula. Um, and this is it's a very simple formula, but extremely effective. Um, and it will help with general, support the female reproductive organs, helping balance um, the hormones. And in this particular formula, kind of leans towards helping with heavy menstrual bleeding. So it may not be good for everybody, but I use this mostly in kind of, perimenopause cases. There's no hot flashes. There's not really a lot of PMS issues, kind of a perimenopause condition. Or just recently, I had a woman who, she had fibroids, she had heavy bleeding, but now she's much better. So I put her on this to kind of support her reproductive system because she had years of this fibroids, years of this pain and inflammation in her uterus. And I really wanted to kind of help the uterus heal and recover. And here we have only three herbs: Shatavari, Ashoka, and Lodra. Shatavari, of course, is they call it, translation is often called, it's the, cooling formula for used for hot flashes, but it's also, helping to manage estrogen in particular. And Ashoka, it's usually leans, large amounts are used for heavy bleeding and menstrual cramps, but it's also known to help with hormonal balance, both of progesterone and estrogen. And the word Oshoka apparently means friend of woman. Then the third herb is Lodra, and Lodra is also a known female reproductive supportive herb. So it's a very simple formula, three very effective herbs, very good. Almost any woman could have these unless she had no menstruation and are very irregular, which we would pick another formula. So that's a very good formula for almost all women could benefit from that. Um, and then the hormonal balance tea here, I'm a Western and Indian herbalist. So you can see I have Western and Indian herbs mixed together sometimes. And here we have, spearmint, by the way, is known to help reduce testosterone. That's its purpose here, and we don't want too much testosterone. I mean, we know there's many signs and symptoms of excess testosterone, such as facial hair and hair growing on a woman's nipples. These are other signs of high testosterone in a woman. So that's why the spearmint's here. Red clover, we know, is a very famous Western herb, helping mostly with estrogen. There's the shatavari. I can't resist getting in this shatavari. Ashwagandha isn't really for um, the estrogen or progesterone. It's more for the adrenals, but I put it in there because it's still balancing. It's just not for hormones. And then, of course, the dong quai, almost the premier hormonal balancing herb since almost ancient times. And then black cohosh, which is known to help more with the progesterone. And Dominia is a surprising little touch in there. If you know that it's a female aphrodisiac. It's also used in male aphrodisiacs, but we just put a little in there because it is known to help support female health and female libido. And then the licorice, of course, is more of a catalyst, making all things work together. And fennel is giving a little flavor and sweetness and cooling. It's a very sweet, cooling tea. And it's not for extreme cases, but, I do use it when I identify general hormonal imbalances in women and just have them drink it all during the month. But once the menstruation comes, and we want to work with the symptoms of the menstruation, then of course we're going to have, which I'm sure most people are well aware of, the red raspberry leaf. And this PMS tea, it's been renamed at times moon cycle tea. Now it's back to the name PMS tea. And red raspberry leaf is the base. It's an astringent, a uterine tonic, supporting and tightening up the uterus, helping with excess bleeding. And if you were ever just to have one herb before your menstruation, a Western herb, it would definitely be red raspberry leaf tea. Now, it will help particularly with heavy bleeding, but we also put in passion flower, which is calming for the mood, and St. John's wort, which is anti-inflammatory, also good for the mood. Lavender just smells nice. White willow bark. This is another astringent herb, tightening up the uterus and helping with excess bleeding and cramping. There's the wild yam. This is a premier phytoestrogen. Dong quai, premier herb. Chaseberry, also excellent herb for hormonal balance. You can see it's packed with both wild yam, dong quai, and chaseberry. This has got these three hormonal balancing herbs. In the black cohosh, you don't want too much black cohosh unless a woman is in menopause. And then the feverfew, that's more for the headaches and the pain. And the white willow bark. That wasn't white oak, that was white willow. That's also for the pain and the cramping. White willow bark, the original source of aspirin. So this formula has a broad range of benefits, mostly relieving the symptoms and also hormonal balancing, but it's very calming, helps with the mood, gets rid of the cramps. And this, of course, is the tea that most of the women say if they start drinking it prior to menstruation, they have no symptoms. So you got to start drinking. You can't wait till the menstruation, begins. You start drinking it like 7 days before the menstruation. When you first have the first signs and symptoms, you start drinking 2 cups a day. And then when the bleeding starts or the menstruation starts, then you will have some relief and you can stop taking the tea. So a very common treatment for me that I do is the PMS tea right before menstruation. And then the whole rest of the month, I will do the female balance tea like the whole rest of the month. That's how I'm getting these fast results because we also have other ones for fertility if that's the issue. But, fertility too is a hormonal issue. So that's, before menstruation, PMS tea, after menstruation, all the way for the rest of the month, female hormonal balance tea, or in some cases, the Ayurvedic formula. Those are my 3 main products that I'm using. Now, of course, when we have, no menstruation, like the testimonial I showed you, absent menstruation, I just prefer to use non-medical terms here. Here we could have, irregular menstruation, menstrual infertility. Then this is the formula, ancient Indian formula. Indian formulas are more specific, more powerful, and more specific. We just don't have that power with this Western herbs. The formulas aren't as advanced. There's not as much information. Teas are weaker than formulas. So once a woman has a serious issue or any serious health issue, I really have to revert to the Ayurvedic formulas. But I can be sure you this was the formula I gave the woman who didn't have her menstruation for 26 years. And then, of course, we have a lot of women with excess bleeding, including, you know, could be from endometriosis, could be spotting. This will also help with pelvic pain. I give this out for fibroids, and these are a little bit more advanced formulas because they're using Indian formulas, Pushang Churna, which is 26-year herbs. But you can see the Shatavari Ashoka Lodra, which we covered before. Those are the hormonal balancing. Guduchi is anti-inflammatory, and Pushang Churna is made for fibroids, heavy bleeding, and spotting. So there already exist formulas. So that's 26 herbs there. So what's the total? 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 herbs in that formula. Very, very effective. And I'm using that for all these cases of heavy menstrual bleeding, particularly when there's fibroids involved. So it's really not very complicated, but there has to be a diagnosis. You have to understand um, the woman and the symptoms and the underlying doshic imbalances, because that may not be all that I treat a woman with. And remember, if you've got heavy menstrual bleeding, this can also be caused by coffee, hot spices, chocolate. This type of woman could also have inflammation in her whole body. So I could end up giving anti-inflammatories as well, because when there's a lot of inflammation in the body, inflammation in the uterus, then there'll be not just heavy bleeding and uterine pain and pelvic pain, but probably muscle pain and joint pain as well. So you just have to bring down the inflammation in the whole body with other herbs and a change in the diet, and then specific herbs just for this condition. It's all, and in Ayurveda, we always treat the whole dosha, which in this case would be vata, pitta, or kapha. Then we have to treat the system in general, in this case, the reproductive system. And then we have to treat the specific health issue or imbalance. There's 3 levels of treatment. As is why people are not successful on their own, even when they buy these products on my website, because they just pick the product that's for that condition, and they are not treating themselves holistically. So if you have heavy menstrual bleeding and you buy this product, it may not go away if you don't change your diet, and it may not go away while you're doing a hot, spicy food. And of course, the most common problem we see with women with fibroids, endometriosis, heavy menstrual bleeding is coffee. So these are often causes, just like coffee is often a cause for IBS, irritable bowel, and other type of inflammatory colon conditions. It's often the bad boy for heavy menstrual bleeding as well. And same goes for absent menstruation or irregular menstruation, or infertility, is usually coming from more of a depleted woman who's underweight, maybe fasting a lot, doing radical diets like no grains, no dairy, no meat, very thin, and they can be depleted. And then, of course, the menstrual cycle can literally just stop due to this level of depletion. So you couldn't just take this formula and not address the underlying cause, which would this case would be a vata imbalance, and the overall diet of the person, which could be a depleting diet. You have to treat holistically. Change the diet, identify the cause, balance the underlying dosha that's involved, and treat the system and then the specific condition. That's holistic. But unfortunately, most people, by human nature, don't think that way. They're just thinking, hey, this is my problem. Send me the herb. But this, of course, is often results in an incomplete treatment because it's not holistic. It's not addressing the causes why you caused it. Every patient is causing it. Even your premenstruation symptoms are being caused by the woman, maybe unknowingly, by her food, her diet, her stress, her job, phytoestrogens getting in her life. But, a healthy woman has few menstrual symptoms. That's an important point to take note. Now, from the guy's point of view, too, a healthy man has a good libido. Healthy woman, has few menstrual symptoms. That's the easy sign, easy way to read a woman to know if she's healthy. Sometimes women think they're healthy, and then I ask about your symptoms prior to menstruation, and then I can see the real picture. And you can also, of course, know a lot about their mood and a lot of information about a woman by diagnosing their premenstruation uh, symptoms. Okay. So herbal remedies, you could do Chinese remedies, you could do South American remedies from some shaman in South America. You could get remedies in Mexico in the night market. There's herbal remedies all over the world for PMS, and there's really no reason for women to continue to suffer because the herbs are there, and all you need to do is find the right combination for you and have somebody guide you. So I do hope that this enlightened the ladies that there's no need to be suffering if you treat these imbalances and treat your hormonal condition and take your tea prior to menstruation. All right. Um, well, that's enough said. I think the point has been taken. It's not a complicated subject, and most women can self-treat themselves if they have these products available and they're healthy. But if you do take any of these products and you don't get good results, then it's always better to do an appointment. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this inspired you to improve your health. I hope, women, it inspired you to improve your hormonal balance and realize that these symptoms are not necessary and you can manage them and live a happier life without this suffering, which often takes place every month. God bless you all. Thank you very much.